Okay, for those of you who would like the link for this evening's stream is on YouTube, and the link is now inside of the chat. So you can copy the link and you can share the link to your social media platforms for this evening's class. Again, a pleasant good evening. Let me just a pleasant good evening to one and all. Today is the 9th of October, 2021. I'm His Excellency Dr. Michael Steele, and you are in the class of Steele Saturday Youth Program. And this evening, we are going to be picking up on our subject, educational travel. Remember, in the past coming weeks, we've been talking about a number of different subjects that are conducive to us as ambassadors being able to be successful in all fronts when it comes to becoming globally relevant. And as a result of that, we're going to be looking this evening at educational travel. So join with me. I'm going to share my screen with you as we go into this evening's class entitled Educational Travel. And I want to bring apologies from Her Excellency Doreen Burunji, who is our COO. And she sent me a message that she's actually in the DRC at the moment. And she is attending a very important meeting there this evening, and she will be joining us a bit later. I also want to send apologies from Her Excellency Jeannie, First Lady, and First Lady will be hopefully joining us a bit later, but if not, you will have this recording in the class. I am missing Dr. Uber. Could somebody send a message to Dr. Uber so that Dr. Uber in South Africa, he knows that we have class? Bishop Comfort, if you can send a quick message to Dr. Uber, please do that for me. All right, so let's jump straight into this evening's screen share, and let's take it from there. Let's go into this evening's screen share. All right, shares the screen. So here we are, and we are looking at. And by the way, you are going to see everything on my screen. You will see my full screen this evening because I actually only have my laptop with me. So this evening's broadcast, you will see my full screen and what's there also in the midst of the presentation. So please forgive me for that, but it is because I'm just using my laptop and not sharing screen. So we're looking at educational travel. Educational travel. Traveling is education. It's also a mindset. The world is not in your books and maps, it's out there. A lot of individuals spend a lot of times reading books and looking at maps, and you think that you get a perspective that is going to give you, this is exactly what I need for traveling. I want to tell you that it's good to have a foundation, YouTube videos, books and maps, and all of those dynamics are really, really good. They are. But how many of you know that the truth of the matter is that when you get up and you go out there and you are on ground, it's a totally different ball game. totally different. As a matter of fact, I've heard so many stories about Dubai, for example, and and when His Excellency, my Chief of Protocol, Dr. Ewers, myself, and our team, when we came here in May, Dubai gave us some very wonderful experiences and understandings of cultural dynamics. So I want all of you in the class of Steele to be very mindful. Don't just settle for what you've read in books and what you see on maps. As a matter of fact, I hope you remember even that some maps are not very true to the dimensions and the size and the vastness of the continents. They give you a warped perspective of the facts. So I want you to, in as much as you're studying, you're doing your maps and you're reading your books, I want all of you to create an environment where you put your mind at the place that you're saying, we have to do some traveling. All right? I want all of you to put in your mind for 2021, especially, that the level of global relevance is only going to be strengthened by your actual travelings to other regions and nations. So let's look at some points. What is educational travel? Educational travel is a carefully planned combination of tours, site visits, and hands-on learning opportunities. Built around clear learning objectives, an educational tour is more than a vacation. It's a tool for learning and success with fun and excitement built in. What do I mean by that? Let's look at some points that come out here. It's carefully planned. An educational trip, if we're going to bring you to Dubai, for example, it is carefully planned. What are you going to do when you get there? It's carefully planned. Why are you going there? What are you going to do there? And what are some of the important points that you need to connect with while you are in that country? What are some of the important places? First thing, anytime you're going to a country, one of the most important places in any country is the city. How many of you get what I'm saying? Anytime you're going to any country in the world, make sure that it involves a city tour. Now, 90% of airports around the world, or maybe 95% of airports around the world, they are not located within the city because of health and safety. You will find that airports are always on the outskirts of cities. So anytime you fly into any major country, you will need to take a trip to the city from the airport. So I always want you, when you're traveling, to make sure that a part of your structure is looking at, I want to see the city. I want to go to the main city of that country. I've been to over 70, or I think by now maybe about 80. Minister yours, I think by now it's about 80 cities that I've been to. I've been saying 70 so long, but I think that I've traveled so much more since then. So I think I've been to maybe about 80 cities around the world, 80 different, and I'm talking about like in the United States, you know, there are quite a few places, few cities in the US that I've been to. I've been through Chile, throughout South America, been throughout Europe, through some places, Africa, and all throughout the Caribbean. But many major cities I've had the experience of visiting. So when you're going on a tour, make sure a city tour is a part of what you're going to add to your itinerary. Site visits. You want to look at historical sites as well. A lot of times, historical sites have a lot of value to who the people are, why they do what they do, why they behave the way they behave, maybe why they worship the way they worship. So you're going to need to do some site visits. Very, very important. And also you need to be aware of the things in that country Now, remember, we're stepping out of city now. So the things in that particular country that stand out, and those are site visits. And then you're going to need hands-on learning opportunities. For example, spend time with the communities, going to some of the villages or some of the local restaurants or local eateries or local shops, and get a sense of hands-on learning. Take the local transport, take the bus. Do those things that give you a feel and a sense for the community that you're visiting. Educational tours are not vacations. And I want you to really listen to this. I really, really want you to grasp this, okay? I want you to grasp this. An educational tour has a purpose and an agenda. A vacation has a purpose and agenda. Chill out, relax, have a good time. Don't want to trouble nobody, don't want nobody to trouble you. Just want to do your own thing. See some of the tourist sites, and you know what I mean. But when you're traveling as an ambassador on an educational tour or trip, it has significant differences as opposed to a vacation or a holiday. Okay. One of the most important things about an educational tour is when you're sent out, for example, in the class of Steele, when I send you or I take you on an educational tour or trip, you're going to have some homework to do. And I want you to write these notes down. Expect homework from me. Any trip that I take you on, when I take you to Geneva, when I take you to New York, when I take you to China, there's a reason why I'm taking you there. There's a reason. Remember, as ambassadors, you are supposed to develop and foster relationships that are going to be strengthening governmental or bilateral ties with your country. So you are on a fact-finding mission. Now, what are some of the things conducive to a fact-finding mission for an ambassador? You need to have an understanding of governmental structure. What is the government of that country structured like? What type of political system does the country have? Is it a republic? Is it a monarchy? Is it a constitution? What type of governmental structure is in place? Do they have a president? Do they have His Royal Highness or His Majesty? Do they have a prime minister? All of these things you need to be aware of. What are the cultural dynamics? Are they Christian? Are they Buddhist? Are they Baptist? What is the makeup? So educational tours as an ambassador are very, very detailed and in-depth. Do not go on an educational tour and treat it like a vacation. Sometimes I go on educational tours with individuals, and the only thing they want to do is go to the shopping mall. They just want to shop. Come on, Doctor. Your Excellency, Dr. Yours, you know what I'm talking about. Everybody, they just want to go shopping. Oh, I just want to go shopping. Or they want to go clubbing. Or they just want to go just sightseeing, and that's it. And when they come back, they don't have no understanding of the dynamics of the culture. None whatsoever. So please take careful and copious notes. When I take you on any trip in the class of Steele, I'm going to be needing for you to recognize there's a responsibility for you at the ending of that trip. You're going to have to give a full report. You're going to have to give a report of the culture of the people. How do you find them? How do they operate? What are the dynamics in the system and the culture? How the people behave? You're going to have to be able to give feedback, because remember, the nations need your feedback. Your country is going to need you to be able to tell them what is the environment on ground. For example, when I went to Nigeria and there were so many atrocities that were happening in Nigeria, persons were afraid. You see all of the killings that were happening with the herdsmen, and you see different things that were happening, and it can be very scary regionally, very scary to travel. But then when you travel and you get with the locals and you get to understand some more of the dynamics, it reduces some of the stresses that can be experienced during your travels. Are you with me? So your role as an ambassador is to find out the facts on ground. Don't be given the report that the media is giving. Media gives a report conducive to political agendas. Are you with me? I'm going to say that again. Media gives a report conducive to political agendas. So you might be seeing news, for example, in London about chaos and different sort of atrocities. And I want to tell you the honest truth. I live in London. And sometimes individuals that see things in the media are telling me about uprisings and these sort of things that are happening, and London is in chaos, and how am I surviving? Am I afraid? And I'm thinking, whoa, calm down, calm down. You're talking about a small little area where a pocket of people might be gathering. Come on, somebody. I might not even be aware that the people are gathering. But the media blows it out of proportion. And the world thinks London is in chaos. So I want you to remember, being on ground as an ambassador gives you a clearer perspective on what is happening. And do not be a scaremonger in your reporting. Do not. Don't come to London and see a pocket of conflict and scaremonger nations. Don't do it. Always be very detailed in your reporting so that individuals can make proper informed decisions. You don't want to be, as an ambassador, following the rhetoric of the media and scaremongering. Please don't do it. I want you to be enlightened and equipped and empowered with information conducive to helping nations build and grow together. All right? So that's very important to note about your educational travel. What to do on an educational trip? What to do? What do? You go places. Don't be stuck in your hotel room like me. I see my chief of protocol is smiling quietly because he knows me. I tend to, when I travel, I tend to make my movements very limited, and I stay in my zone. But when you're going on an educational trip, go places, go and see people, see places, see things, try foods, try the restaurants, try the culture, do things, ask questions. A lot of individuals go places and they get frustrated and they come back. I don't like that country. Why? Oh, the road signs are so hard to follow. Oh, the culture is so difficult. Oh, the people, they don't like to speak with you. Oh, this, oh, that, oh, me, oh, my. Listen to me. Anytime you're going on a trip, I want all of you to be having one single thing in your mind. One thing. If you're not going to ask questions, stay home. I'm telling you, stay home. If you're not prepared to interact with the locals, if you're not prepared to ask questions and get to know more, you should stay home. Unless, of course, you just want to go and mind your own business and find what you find and miss what you miss. But if you're going on an educational trip, you need to ask a lot of questions. And don't be shy. Don't be shy. Don't be intimidated. Don't be afraid. Don't be uncomfortable. Ask questions. Build relationships. Build new friendships. Because that's what's going to help you to help others on the next trip. So go do acts. How to do on an educational trip. Respectfully. Respectfully. This is very, very important. Very important. Obey signs. Listen carefully to me. I'm not mentoring you as a normal tourist or a normal citizen. You're ambassadors. You are ambassadors. You are not the average citizen. The credentials that you carry are powerful. Are you hearing me? All of you who become ambassadors or those who are already ambassadors, your credentials are very powerful. I want you to understand that first thing. Second thing, in as much as your credentials are very, very powerful, you as an individual are carrying the burden of character that is going to be reflective of your countryman or your country folk. Persons that see you are going to be saying, this is how Nigerians behave. This is how Ghanaians behave. This is because as an ambassador, you are representing your country. You are expected to behave appropriately in any country that you have the privilege or the opportunity to visit. Obey signs. Please understand this. Do not be one of those persons. Why is that sign there? That sign is an interruption. In my country, that sign would never be like that. Please. Obey signs. Anytime you're on a trip with me, do not look to disrespect or dishonor signs and think that you will have my favor. You will get a field mark from me. You will. Minister Ewers will tell you, and my team will tell you, that I'm very strict when it comes to international protocols, because as an ambassador, you are given courtesies, diplomatic courtesies, based on the expectation that people have of individuals who are ambassadors. You're expected to be respectful. You're expected to be honorable. You're expected to be obeying the laws of the land. It's expected of you. Follow instructions. If someone tells you the way to do this or to do that is this way, please, I'm going to ask and appeal of all of you as ambassadors in the making and those who are already ambassadors, follow instructions. Why? Because the world's eyes are on you as ambassadors. Remember that. The world is watching you. The world is following your lead. So you need to be as appropriate as possible in your behavior. Speak respectfully. Speak respectfully. You must focus on the communicating. You must focus on the people of the land. You must always be very, very cautious of how the people on the land see you. You must be cautious. You must not be one prone to being angry and frustrated and and abusing individuals verbally, and you're upset with taxi drivers and you're angry. No, please. I want to even caution you. Taxis have videos in them, and those videos are watched by the owners of companies. Sometimes they're recorded. Elevators have recording devices in them and cameras in them. Buildings have cameras. So you're expected to be following a protocol respectfully. When you go into the city in the night or in the evening, cameras are all around. You're being watched. So your behavior is important. How you carry yourself, how you treat people. Every single thing you do must be done respectfully, with honor, with dignity, with class, professionally. Are you with me? Make safety a priority. Make safety a priority. Be very mindful of where you're going. Find out the local dynamics for tourists traveling in certain areas. For example, if you are Black and you're traveling in a white area, and I'm not being racist in anywhere, but I want you to be very mindful. There's some areas that you should be cautious. Are you safe in this area? If you are white and traveling in a Black area, is it safe? How do people react to tourists? How do people react to visitors? For example, there's some places in the world that you will travel that have political tensions. How safe is it for you to travel in this area or in this region? Always make safety your priority during your educational trips. Always. This is one that is very important. Arrive to tour, presentations, and other invitations on time. Oh my goodness. This is one that I almost want to say for some people. This one is very, very hard. I like to be early for anything that I'm doing. I hate being late. All of you who know me know that about me. I hate being late. As a matter of fact, I rather wait for you than you wait for me. I hate waiting for you. But I would rather be waiting for you than you waiting for me. Because my professionalism teaches being on time and being early sets a good impression. And I want all of you to focus on that. Be more eager to learn and less eager to judge. Be more eager to learn and less eager to judge. When you go into cultures, there are lots of new things, new ways of doing things, new ways of behaving. For example, today I went to an outing with His Excellency Dr. Hillary, who is here with me, and we went out today. And we had challenges getting a taxi and everything like that. Very, very many challenges today. Traffic was horrible. And we got to a place where I wanted to cross the road. In the UK, we just cross the road anywhere. Of course, you have jaywalking in the UK, but it's not really that serious. It's not really that criminal. It's not that evil or that big a deal. But we do have jaywalking, whereas you cross the road outside of a pedestrian crossing, it is illegal. But in Dubai, jaywalking is very serious. Very serious. More serious than in the UK or anywhere else in the world that I've been, actually. And I found myself walking a long way past where I wanted to cross just to get to a pedestrian crossing to have to walk all the way back again. Now it's a frustration. But how many of you know when you follow instructions, it's a whole lot safer? You don't judge a culture. You don't judge the people. It's not crazy. It's not ridiculous. It's for safety. There's some times that you will see certain things about some cultures that you might not like. Don't judge. Don't be eager to judge why people do what they do. Always be willing to learn. Why do they accept this? Some cultures are acceptable of some practices while others are not. Try to learn why. Don't judge. Don't impose your culture in another diaspora or in another environment. Don't try to impose your culture. Try to learn and understand why they do what they do. Because, for example, it will be healthy for you because you become educated and not judgmental. Another thing I want to share with you, a vacation mindset can hinder learning. What is the difference between a learning mindset and a vacation mindset? What's the difference? A vacation mindset is one where you are focused on relaxation, enjoying yourself. A learning mindset is where you're relaxed. You might be stuck in traffic in the taxi. That's a great opportunity to let the taxi teach you about the local culture, the local people. I speak to quite a few taxi drivers in Dubai. And it's interesting to note that a lot of them have never been to inside of any of the tourist sites. They don't know what inside of the tourist sites are like because their jobs are just to drive you there. But they don't know what inside is like. They've never been themselves because they're local. And it's just a job for them doing taxi. So always be interested in learning a little bit more. All right? But I want to focus on that word respectfully. How taking educational trips benefit you and your country? This is a good one. How taking educational trips benefit you and your country? It changes your perception and perspective. Your perception of a country is actually based on what you see, is based on what you've heard. It gives you a perception, a perspective, how you view the country. When you do it by reading and by looking at maps, you have one paradigm, one way of looking at it through books and maps and reading. But when you're on ground, live and in person, you get a different perspective. And you have a different perception. It boosts your confidences, causing you to become independent. A lot of times you travel and because of what you heard and what you think, you're not so confident. You are dependent on locals and maybe more so dependent on individuals who are there. You're dependent. You're very dependent at some times. But when you're on ground, when you take that educational trip, your confidence level increases. It broadens your horizon. You have a different outlook. You see things differently. You see the people different, the culture different. Your horizon is broader. You gain real life education. Listen to me. Nothing can be compared to having true facts about a culture, a people, a language, or a country. Nothing can be compared to having true facts. Nothing can be compared to you being on ground yourself. A lot of people can tell me things about Dubai, for sure. But I can also tell you a lot of things about Dubai myself because I'm here. I'm on ground. I'm seeing the people, I'm seeing the culture, I'm seeing the dynamics, and I'm also gaining more wisdom and more understanding as the days come and go. It builds and enhances your tolerance and adaptability. Listen carefully to this. When I went to Nigeria, my first trip, I had security. Also, I always travel with security as an ambassador, always. But here's an interesting thing. I got to the place where I like to just travel and I have absolutely no security and nobody with me. I love it because I fit in. And I like that tolerance for the culture, the behavior. I adapt better. As ambassadors, you're going to learn how to adapt. You're going to learn to go into a culture. You learn the people. You learn the dynamics. You know the safe places to go. You understand how to behave appropriately. You understand how to walk softly in the midst of a nation that you are foreign to. And you understand how to interact with individuals. And what this does is it increases your tolerance of the culture, the behavior of the people. You become more tolerant, but it also creates an adaptability for you to the land. You become more adaptive. You become more integrated. You become, as it were, more communalized. You can fit in. You can fit into the environment naturally without any problems. As a peace ambassador, that is very, very necessary for you to do as a part of your educational trip. Very, very important. It increases your awareness and mindfulness. You become more aware. Become more aware of how to be. You become more aware of some of the things that you might think are not obvious. And then you realize, wow, this is obvious, because you become more aware and you're more mindful. You're more tolerant. Some of the things that you might consider to be idiosyncrasies or possible time wasters or frustrations and vexations of your spirit personally. Some of the things that you might think are counterproductive even. Because you're more aware of the dynamics that play out as a result, you become more mindful. But then you become empowered. There's an empowerment to take on new challenges. Benefits to your country. You see, all of these benefits, as an ambassador, you now hand to your country. Your country is now able to look at investing in that region. Because before, your country saw that region through maybe not so pleasant eyes. Maybe your country saw those people and the dynamics that play out as a result of these people as counterproductive for business. But now your country is recognizing, because of you as an ambassador, seeing how to negotiate, how to discuss, how to facilitate, how to be integrated into the system, into the modus operandi of the culture. Your country is now able to take on new challenges. But the most interesting thing about educational trips is that you become a more responsible citizen. You as an individual become a more responsible. I like the word responsible. What does it sound like to you? Response, and if we take able and put able, response, able. You are able to respond. Take a note, just play with the word with me. Responsible, responsible. Response and able. You are able to respond the right way because you understand the culture. You have a different perspective. You're more confident. You're independent. Your horizon of the dynamics are broader. You have real life education. So all of this knowledge that you've been given stewardship of, you are now more able to respond the correct way as a citizen. All right, let me go on. You stop seeing people as different nationalities. This is also important. And see them as different kinds of people. Some people see us as aliens. As a matter of fact, seeing us as aliens is okay, because how many of you know that when you go to another country, you're considered as an alien? So it's okay. But you see people as different kinds of people. You have rich people, poor people, happy people, sad people, excitable people, not so excitable people. I was going to use another word for not so excitable, but I think not so excitable would be a good word to use. So you see them as different types of people. Working people, people who are not working, that are unemployed. See them as different. Forget nationality. They're just people. You start communicating and understanding different languages and dialects. Sometimes you spend a little more time in a country interested in understanding how the people communicate. And as you do that, what happens is, with time, as you spend more time in the culture or in the country, you become more equipped in how to understand their dialect. You understand the people's dialect a little bit more. And that's important. But it comes as a result of spending time with individuals so that you could understand. All right? It increases your respect for people who are different to you. You respect people more. When you're on an educational trip, you learn to honor people that are different than you. Different color, different culture, different religion, different ways of thinking, different ways of looking at life, a different perspective on things, a different culture, different feelings. I have some Russian friends that that they are very, very, very cold, you might think. I have some people that are from other parts of the world that they are very, very, they don't express emotion. I don't know what the very, very word I would use. I think I would just say they don't express emotion like some of us do. They don't. So the dynamics of interacting with them are very different. You also recognize that you never stop learning. Some of you have a place where you think that you've reached. I know it, I've reached. Educational trips, the benefits are you recognize that you're still learning, you're still growing, you're still becoming a person able to be impacted upon or to impact upon. You're always learning. Always be willing to keep that ability where you keep learning. You're a lifelong learner. You never lose that. You learn how to think creatively and adapt to all sorts of situations, all sorts. Somebody asked me, actually yesterday, somebody asked me, Your Excellency, how do you manage? How do you manage so many different cultures, so many different peoples, so many different responsibilities? How do you manage? You become creative and you adapt to all sorts of situations. His Excellency Dr. Yours, as my chief of protocol, he will tell you about me to some degree. His Excellency knows me in a way that most people they don't know me. Most people don't know me in a certain way. But His Excellency knows me at a level of dealing with different and difficult situations a lot of times in a way that individuals might be wondering, how comes you deal with it like this? But there is always a reason for dealing with situations in the way that you deal with them. There's always a reason. And that reason has always been you learn to adapt. All right? Let me see something here. It makes you patient. Patience is actually learned. Makes you very patient. A lot of us are hasty and rushing to get things done, but educational tours make you more patient. You start enjoying experiences more than things. Life is now about experiences and not just about things. A lot of people are focused on things and they miss the moment. I want to go to the shop, but in between going to the shop, there's an experience. And a lot of people are so focused on getting to the shop that they miss the experience. And I want you to be a people who enjoy experiences. You become more resourceful. Part of the benefits to your country is your country becomes more resourceful. Meet interesting people and gain connections and friendships in other countries. Improve social and communication skills. They become improved. Develop that an appreciation for different culture and beliefs. Knowledge of countries, places, and people, processes, policies, and procedures. All of these are things that you learn on educational travels. It gives you empathy for national and global challenges or sufferings. You know, sometimes we see people suffering and we jump to conclusion, oh, those people are suffering because the political leaders or this or that. Oh, if these people were this or they were that, they would not be suffering. Oh, blah, 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 blah. You get a little bit more empathy when you go on ground and you understand some of the dynamics. It humbles you enough to realize it's not all about you. Sometimes you go somewhere and you think of yourself as it's all about me, what I want to achieve, what I want to get out of it. But when you travel as an ambassador, I always want you in the class of Steele under my mentoring. I want you to be a people who travel with it in mind of what am I going to give back to this country or this region or these people? What are they going to benefit from me being a part of this trip? What are they going to get from me? It changes the way you relate to others and the world. How do you relate to people in the world? How do you relate to people around you? It will change. When you go on an educational trip, it will change. If you go as a tourist and you have vocational expectations, I want to go to the hotel. I want it to be perfect. I want the best hotel. I want the best this or the best that. And you don't get that, it can distort your opinion of the people or the culture. But if you go on an educational trip and the electricity, for example, goes off, you don't get angry. Oh, it spoiled my vacation. Oh, it did this. Oh, it did that. No, you're on an educational trip. And when you're on an educational trip, you understand from that experience that the electricity or the electrical grid in that country, it has challenges. You're not freaking out, oh, the toilet doesn't work, oh, there's this and there's, no, 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 no. When you're on a vacation, those things matter to you. When you are on an educational trip, those things intrigue you. Those things give you a real dynamic of the realities of how those people live, how things happen, how things are going on, how the people in the country live. You get to meet the fix-it man that comes to fix your lights. You get to meet him and see, hey, how do you like this job? How do you like working here? Are you from this country? Are you from another country? What's it like working here? Do you get what I'm saying? When you're on an educational trip, your mindset, your attitude, your behavior, your deportment, all of these things are totally different than when you're on a vacation. You don't go complaining to the manager because something didn't work the way you wanted it to. Why? Because you're on an educational trip. You are learning. And you're learning without judging. Self-realization. A lot of times you do not understand yourself until you get put in an environment where you're tested and tried. A lot of you think you're very patient, but I promise you, if I put you in an environment where you have no choice but to exercise some patience, it will frustrate you. And you'll see your real self. You will realize who you are as a person. That's what the class of Steele is all about. It's all about testing you, pushing you to the next level, letting you realize who you are, letting you realize what do you tolerate, what don't you tolerate, what do you like, what don't you like. You become more focused on who you are as a person. You even self-actualize. You realize and recognize this is who I am. And either I need to change it because it's not conducive to satisfying the environment that I'm in, I'm going to change it, or you decide, I like this part of me, I'm going to enhance it. I'm going to add value. Remember, everything about yourself is not good, but everything about yourself is not bad. but everything about yourself can be improved upon. Are you with me? You can improve on every part of yourself as an individual. Let's go on. Where to go on educational trip? Start at home. Start at home. Where can you go on an educational trip? At home, in your country. A lot of you live in countries and communities, and I'm going to guarantee you, tourists or visitors come to your country and they ask you to take them places that you yourself have never been. Come on, somebody. I'm talking to us. Because you live there, you hear about it, you see it all the time, it's not important to you. So you never take the trip. There are people that live in the UK, they've never been to the House of Commons. They've never been to the House of Lords. They've never been to the London Eye. They've never been to Madame Tussauds. They've never taken a ride on the Thames River. Why? Because it's there. I can go to do that anytime. They've never been to the Museum of London. My goodness, if you go to the Museum of London, you'll see some amazing things. I live in London and I love when my wife takes me on those trips with our son, Josh. Because you get to see and experience things that are so beautiful. You learn more about the culture, more about the people. I live in London. I need to know the British people. I need to understand them. I need to see where their foundations were formed and established. I need to know it. I need to know the colonial history. I need to know why Australia, why the Caribbean, why Spain and Portugal, why France, why Ireland and Scotland. All of these things are part of your own education in your own community. Other states, government offices, parliament, museums and libraries, all of these are local. How many of you have ever done this in your own country? If you've never done it in your own country, what makes you think that you're going to be excited to do it in another country? You have to derive value from these places in your local environment. Are you with me? So I want some of you to develop interest in these local areas. Continue to abroad. Start at home and continue to abroad. Other countries, United Nations offices. I'm going to be taking all of you who qualify and who want to the United Nations offices. Now, some of you are going to say, why do I need to go to the United Nations office? What for? What is there? What am I going to go there and do? Let me tell you, as an ambassador, if you do not understand the United Nations and the United Nations systems and why ambassadors are appointed and what are the treaties that govern ambassadors in other countries, if you don't take time to develop an understanding of that for yourself, what is the value of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs? Every country needs a Ministry of Foreign Affairs. It has one. What does that mean? The Ministry of Foreign Affairs deals with how your country relates with other countries. Are you with me? So as an ambassador, the most important ministry for you as an ambassador is the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Teaches you protocols. It shows you what your relationship and other countries' relationships are. It gives you a blueprint of the do's and the don'ts with regards to other relationships. Tells you how business is done, how you should or should not do business with other countries. If you're traveling to a country as an ambassador, you need to know how that country feels about your country. Because if you travel as an ambassador to one country in another country and you think I am an ambassador, but you don't know that the country you're traveling to has very bad relations with the other country, you're going to find yourself in problems. So you need to understand foreign affairs and the United Nations. What are the treaties and the agreements with the United Nations and other countries? Why do they behave the way they do? How do they react? How do they respond? All of these things are part of your educational development that you should take very seriously. I've been to the United Nations quite a few times. I'm called to Vienna, Austria. That's the office in the United Nations where I'm called to. So I know quite a bit of the protocols, the behavior, the expectation, and the understanding of the United Nations system in Vienna, Austria, but also the UN system in Geneva and also in New York. And then you obviously get to know about The Hague, where there's the International Court of Justice. All right, let me go on. Personal homework. Let me give you some homework. Let me give you some homework. Number one, I want you to write this down for me. Number one, I'm going to ask you for this next Saturday. You can submit it. Where does your passport take you? Number one, visa free. This is your personal homework. Next Saturday, next class, we'll talk about it. All right? Where does your passport take you visa free? And I want you to find out why. Why does your passport allow you to go visa free in the country that is visa free? Why? There's a reason. Is it because of the trade agreements that is established with the other country? Their trade agreements? Is it because of allies, other countries that are partners or colonies or associates? For example, Nigeria, Barbados, the United Kingdom, there's a relationship based on the colonial masters. Some other countries, their relationships based on the diversity of who colonized you. Were you colonized by the British? Were you colonized by the French? In the Franco regions, they would have visa-free access, for example, to some places in France and different countries, and Belgium, some countries. Why are you visa-free to these countries? What is the relationship and why? When did you get visa-free access? When did it happen? Was it always this way? I want you just to kind of look at those dynamics. Understand them for yourself because they play an important role in your understanding of bilateral agreements and trade agreements and fostering these relationships conducive to building relationships with other countries. And then what about the countries where you require a visa? Why do you require a visa for these countries? Was it always this way? Or was it in a case where your country was visa-free once, but because of the behavior, because of the dynamics, because of the statistics of atrocities or murders or killings or robberies or overstaying or whatever, your country's visa freeness have been revoked and now you require a visa. Why do you require a visa now? Or has it always been that way? Is it because your country is one of the Franco region countries and the British countries don't appreciate you based on the relationships with the Brits and the Franco countries? So as a result of that, you do not have visa-free access because your French country does not want you to have that free access. What are the dynamics? Why your visas are required? But then let me ask another question. What about the countries that you're not allowed to travel to? You're not allowed. There are some countries that your passport is not allowed. It's not even accepted. You cannot travel to some countries with your passport. Why? I want you to find 2 or 3 countries where your passport is not accepted. It's not. And then I want you to look at strong passports. Which are the strongest passports? And why are those passports strong? Because when we look at that next week in our class, I'm going to share some things with you that are going to be very helpful. All right? So I want you to look at that. And that's the ending of this evening's presentation. That's the ending of it. So let me ask you some questions. I want to ask you some questions. One time you look at traveling so easily. You just get on a flight and you go on a trip. But I want to challenge you, and I want you to tell me what has changed, if anything has changed from this evening's class for you. Pretty, I'm going to start with you. Pretty, what have you gained from this evening's class? Pretty, please unmute yourself. State your name and the country that you represent, and tell me what you've named. Pretty, why are you shaking your hand and saying no, 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 no?
Good evening. I'm in a noisy place, Your Excellency, so I can't talk right now.
Oh, okay. I excuse you. Acknowledge. Okay.
Yes.
I want to, let's go to who do I see? And Andrew Bugdar. Andrew Bugdar, can you unmute yourself, please, if you're there? Andrew, all right, can you unmute yourself? Please state your full name and your country that you represent, Andrew, and share your thoughts on this evening's class.
Okay, thank you, His Excellency. My name is Andrew Bugdar from Ghana. I'm representing Ghana. And this evening class, I've really learned a lot based on travel education. When you go to any country or when you travel to any other country, there are rules and regulations, or there are policies that governs the country. And one of the things that I have learned is that when you go to such a particular country, you must know the government structure that is in that particular country. And apart from that, when you go to the country, you should be able to learn certain things from that particular country in terms of their culture or their way of life and how they do things there. And also, you don't see anything and you comment bad about it. You are there to learn. And as you are learning, you don't have to utter words that will go against that nation or country. And also, if you are traveling to a particular country or any country, you must know that you are an ambassador, and you should be able to handle yourself in such a way that it will not, let me say, it will not bring a bad image to the country that you are representing. And also, if you are going to any country, you should be able to know whether the country that you are going, they have a good relationship with your country before you can go there. So these are some of the things that I have learned so far in this today's class. Thank you, sir.
You know, Andrew, I want to really drive home that point that you made, because it's really important. As an ambassador, as a peace ambassador, once you're not called to a government where you have a diplomatic passport, you're a peace ambassador, you have to make sure that the relationship with the country that you're going to is good with your country.
Okay.
Because if you go expecting a type of courtesy and then you get treated with contempt or disrespect or disregard, the disrespect and the disregard is not, don't take it personal to yourself. Remember, ambassadors are not representing themselves. Ambassadors are seen as, what passport are you holding? What country are you coming from? And the people that are receiving you or seeing you are not seeing you as Dr. Steele, or they're not seeing you as Dr. Yours. They are seeing you as a British man or an American man or a Nigerian man. Are you with me? So always remember, don't take personal the treatment you're receiving when you travel as an ambassador. See it as, this is how they feel about your people, your country, and your duty is to change that to positive. Your duty is to give that person in customs, or that person at security, or that person at border control a reason to say, wow, but I like Dr. Steele, or I like Dr. Andrew, or Dr. Yours. Are you with me? As an ambassador, your role is to make people that don't like your country or your country folk, your role is to give them a reason to like them. Are you with me? That is your role, and take your role serious. When you're walking with other citizens and you see citizens of the country jaywalking, for example, don't join them. Don't join them. Apologize and walk till you get to a place. It might anger them. It might frustrate them. They might call you, why are you trying to be so perfect? Who do you think you are? Whatever. But what you're doing is you are trying to create an environment to say, this is how a British ambassador or a Nigerian ambassador or a Barbadian ambassador or a Ghanaian ambassador behaves. This is how we behave. And I want you in the class of Steele to know that I expect that type of behavior, attitude, and character from all of you. And if at any time I get a different behavior or character, I will be disappointed, because you're not being mentored as an ambassador to be a renegade or a rogue. You are being mentored to be an individual conducive to building nations positively. Agnes, give us your take on this evening's class, Agnes. Agnes, state your name and your country, please.
My name is Agnes Bananzi from Ghana. This evening, I learned that educational tour is not just about vacation. So you should have learning in mind instead of vacation, because vacation distracts you from learning when you get to when you go for an educational tour. I also learned that educational tour should start from home. So in our own countries where we have tourist sites and even different cultural backgrounds, we need to travel around and then learn even our own cultural dynamics, and then know our tourist sites, and not to wait for others to come over and then ask us to take them. Then even we ourselves, we don't know where we are going. So we start from home first, then we move to other countries or abroad. You also emphasize on the need to comport yourself when you're on an educational tour, where you don't get easily angry, and they need to apologize, just apologize easily. And then you need to prioritize your safety, especially because if you don't know the relationship your country has with that other country, or because maybe you are Black and you are in an area where it's white, or you are white and you are in an area where there are Black people. You are really not sure what someone has in mind for you. So you need to prioritize your safety. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Agnes, for your submission. I want to ask. Sorry, Bangura, out of say you're Sierra Leone. Bangura, you're Sierra Leone. Is that correct?
Hi, Dr. Steele. Can you hear me?
I can hear you very well. Welcome. It's very good to see you this evening.
Yeah, it's actually a pleasure to be part of the meeting this evening.
How was the class for you? What did you take from this evening's class?
Well, even though like I actually attended very late because I was having an exam before this period, but it's not been long that I attended. Well, I have learned a lot within the short period that I've been part of this meeting. Hello?
Yes, I'm listening.
Okay, so I have learned a lot. Like this has actually taught me like to be able to adapt in any kind of situation, especially when you are traveling around the world. Yes, like you actually mentioned that, especially when you are on educational travels, you have to adapt to certain situations. You don't have to like be grumpy over little things. You must be actually able to adapt in any kind of situation. So I think that is a very, very important aspect as an educational traveler.
All right. Thank you so very much for your submission and for being there in the class this evening. I want to ask Ahija, Shika, would you kindly give me your take on this evening's class? Ambassador Ahija Shika in Sierra Leone, and he's responsible for the team in Sierra Leone. Could you please give your take on this evening's class, Ambassador?
Yeah, thank you very much, His Excellency, and also to all my co-members around the globe. I'm very happy to have the class today again because 2 weeks ago now we are not having class, so I'm still a little bit bothered, but I thank God. God have make it possible, and we are having class. And the class was so successful today. One of the things I learned from the educational trip, um, in the third paragraph, we say you will learn, you will learn through the parliament, tourism, and the likes of the other, which is so very, very good. Another thing back I learned, which is Minister of Foreign Affairs, which countries need to have the bilateral relationship within the foreign affairs. If countries do not have bilateral relationship, that means there must be problems within those countries, which is very, very key. In any country, the Minister of Foreign Affairs is the key sector of the country in which the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is there to bring development in that country when it comes in development of the country. And we need to practice this as a country. Minister of Foreign Affairs is very, very paramount and very, very key to a nation. And also I learned about culture. Yes, nevertheless, most of the countries today, they forget about the old days in which they forget about our cultures. We are no more longer practicing our culture like our forefathers. They are doing that, practicing our culture, which is very, very key in a country. If we practice our culture, I would say, probably like Sierra Leone here, my country, a lot of investors, a lot of foreigners come from other countries to visit our tourist zone, to visit our culture, especially in when we are having these holidays, December. A lot of people came in Sierra Leone to see how best they'll be able to watch our culture and also practice our tourist zone, visit our tourist zone nationwide in Sierra Leone here, which is very, very key and very, very paramount. I just want to say I learned a lot of things today. It is very, very key as educational trip because like most of us in Africa, we lack of these things, in which is very, very paramount to young people in societies. So I would say if we having an opportunity to have access to these things, we say we thank God. And we need to call our fellow to bring them on board so that they too will be benefit through this mentorship that what we are learning, they too will be able to learn it and put it into practice like what we are doing right now. So I just want to say thank you, His Excellency, and also thank you on all members of Class of Steel across the globe. And I hope one day we'll meet and have a dialogue together. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Ambassador Ahija Shika. Ambassador, could you give me an update on the differently abled community in Sierra Leone that are with the Class of Steel? How are the footballers doing? How is things going with them?
Also, I just want to say thank you concerning that. It is very, very, very key when it comes into disabled, especially in our country. Uh, those are operators and governance people. They do not value disabled people. They always think that they will not be able to do what they can do. But I am 100% assured that disabled people can do what we can be able to do, and they can do more than what we can do. Uh, though it is a little bit tricky, but we pray to God on that day it went successful. Uh, Me and my team here, my disabled team, my brother Abu Conte, Sori, and Ibrahim, and our elder brothers again, we went to the team to pay a visit to them, as you said. Uh, we met the team coach and also the assistant manager spoke to him about the class of steel, and also we want the team to be part of the class of steel. They welcome us very good as as we send the videos and also the photos to you, as you can see. Nevertheless, we have encountered a lot of things because if I went there alone, I should not be able to have access to them because. But when I bring my brothers together, all of us went there and have dialogue together. So, oh, the series is so this thing is very, very important, and we are very, very happy to have these things. But the only thing they are requesting that a lot of people that are going there, having dialogue with them, taking photos of them to sponsor them later on, they do not sponsor them. I say no. Class of Steel it is a mentorship program, and we want to build up this team so that this team will be part of Class of Steel. And if we have this team in Sierra Leone here, it will be better for us because we don't care only for other people. Our mentor, who is His Excellency, also care about the disabled people across the world, not even Sierra Leone, but across the world. So if we having this team, it is very, very happy. There are a lot of mementos. Nevertheless, we are under the rain on that day because that evening we are having huge amount of rain coming in Sierra Leone that day. But it was successful. The female team play. We see how the display of the female team and also the display of the male team. Um, they invite us to meet them in their office when we have a response from you so that we can have a more dialogue on that. So we said, as I told them with my team who represent me to the field, I told them, as far I have a reply from my mentor, I will pay a visit in your office to see how best we have a dialogue because the national coach was not there and the manager was not there and also the president was not there on that day. So they said they will go back to their managers and the president and the national to discuss to them about the class of team so that whatever outcomes they will be having, they will be contacting me so that we'll be paying visit to their office with my team for further arrangements. I say, well, no problem.
Okay. Well, thank you so very much for that update. And I will make a trip to Sierra Leone. I'll be back in Sierra Leone before the ending of the year concludes. And I think when I come to Sierra Leone, hopefully next time I'll be traveling with the chief of protocol who will travel with me. I see him smiling in the background. Don't worry. And I will see you guys again, and we'll have some meetings. So don't worry yourself. I was with you again already, and I'll come back and I'll visit you before the year ends or early in the new year. So you can let them know that I will be back to visit with them again. Looking forward to that. I see my brother in the military, Michael. Michael, I see you. Please, sir, I have to salute you, sir. Please greet the class of Steele this evening. You're not going to sit in my class in uniform and don't greet us. Please greet us, Michael. Can you unmute? Can you unmute?
Hello.
Good evening, my friend. How are you?
Good evening. I'm fine, and you?
I'm doing well. State your country, your full name and your country and your rank.
My name is Jumo Michael. I'm from Ghana. And I'm a military man in Ghana.
How was the class this evening, Michael? How was it?
Hello.
Yes. How was class this evening for you? How are you doing in Ghana?
Great. I'm doing great. Just that I've been busy driving my boss around, doing the stuffs. I just don't have time to join the group. So I just had this small time, and I said, let me just join and see what's going on in the group. That's why you guys are seeing me this evening.
It's very, very good. It's very good to see you. I don't worry. You and I will chat. You and I will chat as usual. But I salute you, sir. Good to see you in class this evening. And I know that all of our youth are excited because they don't have a clue what we have planned for them when we bring them to Ghana and throughout Africa. But again, sir, I salute you, sir.
I take care.
And please greet Dr. Kelvin for me and let him know that you showed up and you represented well.
Okay, I'll do that.
Thank you so very much, sir. I see. I also want Enoch. Enoch, would you kindly unmute yourself and just greet us this evening in the class and share your thought this evening? Enoch, just unmute and share your thought this evening.
Hello, good evening, class. I'm Enoch Ayensu from Ghana. Actually, today where I'm there, I'm at a place that it will be difficult for me to talk this evening. So if you will permit me today, that's why today I couldn't put my video on. If today you can spare me.
Of course, you're excused
Okay.
now.
Okay.
It's good
Thank
to
you.
see you in
Thank
class
you.
and you're welcome.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Your Excellency, Dr. Donald Ewers, Chief of Protocol, do you have a word, a word for the class this evening? Your Excellency, Dr. Donald Ewers is our Chief of Protocol. Do you have a word this evening, Your Excellency? Just to share with the class about this evening's message and what we looked at. Your Excellency, Dr. Ewers, you're there? Okay, Dr. Comfort, Her Excellency Bishop Dr. Comfort Adu is out of Ghana, and she's responsible for West Africa and that region. Dr. Comfort, please give your take on this evening's class.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Bishop Dr. Michael Steele, and all the excellencies on board, and a pleasant evening to the students. Today's teaching or today's presentation has been so enormous because one have to travel but one has to learn how to travel. And it's in the right direction that today you put on a place how to prepare oneself and what to do and what not to do. And especially when you say that you have to start from your country. And I believe today, after what you have said, all the class of Steele youth people, for example, will try to come together and then visit places of interest. And then not only for a vacation, but also to learn, to build themselves and agree themselves for them to know exactly what to do when they go to another country. I could recall when I traveled sometimes on a departmental course. When we went to, for example, Denmark, we were put on what they call a grooming, or they have another word of which has just escaped me. But you'll be told what is entailed in that country, what you're supposed to do, what you're not supposed to do, and then you also know what you are to expect. I remember when we went there, I've never forgotten about this. My first time in Denmark, and we were taken aside for about 3-4 days for them to mentor us and then show us what to do and what to expect. As a minister, that was the first time I've been ordained as a minister and I'm traveling. Yeah, and in a departmental government scholarship, we went there. The woman was just explaining to us about the country. And when it was question time, I should have been very careful, I didn't. I was also trying to challenge them on some issues. And that cost me really, because I lost some privileges that I would have received. So it is good for you to bring this presentation so that the youth will know on ground that when they are traveling, what they have to expect. You have to go and learn. You don't have to judge people. You don't have to tell them what you know. You just listen to them, and then what you have to supposed to do, then you do it. If I had done that, I would have had some extra privileges. So I'm very happy for you to let the youth know this at this time, so that they prepare their minds towards whatever places they'll be going. Thank you so much, Your Excellency. Thank you.
Your Excellency, I want to appreciate you, and just to mention to those in the class, Her Excellency Bishop Dr. Comfort Adu is the person responsible for our Monarchs of Africa initiative, and also for connecting with the presidents of Africa and the royals and dignitaries for all of West Africa and the surrounding regions. And I appreciate your age, your wisdom, and the protocols, because you have worked with high-level dignitaries for many years, and you have an understanding of protocol. What lesson of importance, Your Excellency, would you give to our youth and coming dignitaries in the class of Steele pertaining to behavior in other countries as an ambassador or potential ambassador? What lesson would you give to them that that you would say is very important?
Thank you, Your Excellency. Number one, I will just advise you to be yourself. Know where you are coming from and know where you are going.
Yes.
Learn very well about the country of your destination. Don't be too wise. Take into consideration all the protocols that will be alleged to you. Learn them before you go. As His Excellency was trying to teach us, you should learn the country's origin and everything that goes into it before you go there. And when you go there, you don't challenge them. If what they are doing is not right, you don't also do what is not right, but try to portray a country that you are coming from, that you are a country of, what should I say, a respectable country, and also a very humble person, and a person who is also cultured and is able to do exactly what is expected of you. Follow protocol. I repeat that, follow protocol, because you are from your country, you have entered another person's country. You are not going to change their way of doing things. If there's anything you don't like, you are a person, you pray about it, and then you listen to it. That I learned also. It's your time. If you are scheduled to go to a place, just be on time. Be there before the time is up. I also remember one time, the same Denmark, we were supposed to go to a place, and that place they have booked. It is like if in Ghana, or if you are in UK, it's like you are in the south and we are traveling to the north. We had to go with a bus to start with. Then we entered the tube. Then we entered underground the sea, and then we went over the sea, and then we went to a certain town, and then rested. And then the next day we traveled on the sea and under the sea, and then went over to Shayland. That is what it is called. And the time that was given to us, they have booked all the tickets. And when they went to the bus stop, I was not there. As soon as they got there, the bus came and they took off. I was doing other things that I thought was necessary, which wasn't necessary. Thank God I had a Ghanaian brother there who was able to take me to cross the street to the next lane. He knows the place very well. Other than that, I would have spoiled their trip. He took me to the next lane, and as soon as I got to the place where we are supposed to land the first trip, I saw them also getting out from their bus, and they were very happy. As soon as we got down from the bus, we entered the tube. As soon as we entered the tube, it took off. Look at what would have happened if we had missed that. They couldn't have gone without me, because it was a group ticket. And if I had made them miss it, look at how we would have endangered the whole trip. So time, be mindful of your time, and also be mindful to be cultured. If you know your character is not good, let us know and see how we can groom you before you travel. I think I've done something more. Is it okay, Your Excellency?
Your Excellency, you have done.
There's more, but as we go along, I can tell them. But today, I think this is what I have experienced, and I want to share with them.
Thank you so very much, Your Excellency. I'm very proud of the team in the class of Steele. You're all such an amazing group, and I love all of you dearly. I want again to reach out to my Chief of Protocol. I see he has returned. And Chief of Protocol, Your Excellency, Dr. Donald Ewers. Your Excellency, what has this evening's class been like for you, and what points really stood out that you would like to emphasize for the class this evening before we close this evening's class? Your Excellency, Dr. Donald Ewers in the United Kingdom. Go ahead, Your Excellency.
Pleasant good evening, sir. And everybody has already said, I don't want to repeat what everybody else said, but one of the things I would like you to emphasize on, and I know time wouldn't permit you to go into, is when you travel, the food. When you go to other country, the food may be different from Europe or from the place where you're from, not to criticize when you go to other people's country. For example, in the UK, I have some friends, Nigerian friends, and I'll never forget, they invite me to their home for a meal. No, they have the big pot of stew. They have a big pot of food, pound yam, I think it's pounded yam, a big bowl with water, and everybody wash their hands and they dip in the stew and then the food and they eat. No, that's not my culture. But I couldn't go and say, ugh, because I had to learn and adapt. And so therefore, in our culture that is different. I'm from the Caribbean. We don't do that. Everything's like all the colonial just taught us to use the knife and forks and the spoons. But the culture is different when you go to different countries in their food, their behavior. And one of the things I've learned, not only because of an ambassador or peace ambassador, but I like to go where the locals are, the local people. When we went to Dubai, I wanted to know all the glitz and the glamour, all the high-rise buildings, I said, Dubai is not, it can't. Where does the people live? Where does the ordinary? And the taxi driver, I think it's called labor, is it called labor something? Where of miles and miles and miles and miles of ordinary houses like flat, what we would call in the UK, the council houses or council flat, where they all live. And that's where you get the real insight of Dubai when you talk to the locals and so on. And so therefore, when you go and travel, mix with the local, mix with the people, ordinary people on the streets, and you will learn about the culture of that country that we visit. And we can't go there so much with the airs and grace. I mean, you look at you at the moment, how you dress, very militant with your badge and with your glasses and well groomed, well put together. From the moment we look at you, we know you're an important person because your domain, your outfit, what you put on commands that respect. So sometimes we have to play it down to meet the local people. So I think we address according to where we are, where we're going. But I like to meet the locals. When you travel, you learn a lot from the local people, the little old lady, the little old man in the village, and you learn so much from it. I love that. Going and showing off and, oh, do you know who I am? I'm old school. I don't like that one. I don't like, you know who I am with the badges. And so I like to play it down. And that's where you learn. And that's how you learn the culture. And they can tell you what leaf to pick for the headache. They can tell you what leaf to boil for make your skin look better. They can tell you all the different things in the villages. I love that. That's where I'm from, the old school. So it's a lot to learn. So it broadened your horizon, going from country to country. And just finally, I went to Germany, is to Stuttgart. And the first time I'm in Germany, my first expression, I didn't really like, everybody looks very like a snob, looks snobbish. But I went around smiling and I get the smile back. So sometimes even when you go to some of these countries and people can come across quite cold or quite frosty, if you just smile, and when you smile, you get a smile back. Some may not, but the most of the time people smile and may say hello. So what you will say, so is educational. Don't listen to too many, Donald Trump called it fake news. People will give you a lot of fake news. You hear a lot of fake story, but just be, as somebody said, be yourself. Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you so very much, Your Excellency, for that submission. And I do actually, I do agree with you in light of when you travel into an environment. One of the things that I never do in travel is, do you know who I am? Never. We never ever create the do you know who I am syndrome, because who we are speaks for itself. And if ever we need for somebody to ask, who are you? Then we can show our credentials and says, yes, I am Ambassador Steele or whatever. And the beautiful thing about the team in the class of Steele, I love our team because all of us are accomplished. 90 or all of the persons in the class of Steele, to be quite honest, are exceptionally accomplished individuals. Some are accomplished in business, accomplished in professional environments, financially or business-wise or governmental. We're all accomplished and we're not on any competition with any person. One of the things, even myself as mentor, I have some of you are professors and some of you are high-level dignitaries. I am very humbled to be considered your mentor. and it's a very humbling thing. But the most important thing we must remember is that as high as we get, we are servants. That's all we will ever be. If you think and you expect to amass to a higher position than a servant, you're in the wrong place. Always remember, as long as we are here, we will be servants to humanity. And once we maintain that position, we maintain that place of honor and respect, we'll always be very successful. We might not get the best seat in the house. We might be the ones who have to give up our seats for others. But at the end of the day, we create an environment where relationships with other countries can be formed and fostered and developed as a result of our likableness, if that's such a word. People like us, so they do business with us. People like us, so they give our presidents and our prime ministers a hearing. People like us, so they decide they will open the contract and the agreements with us. And I hope that as you go through this training for this year and the years to come, you appreciate that your highest value is based on what you want to give back to the world, whatever that is. I want to thank all of you for being in class this evening. I know there are some of you that have asked me not to mention you or not to interrupt you, but I also, for those individuals, I want to appreciate you for being in the class of Steele this evening. For those who are in our international audience, I want to appreciate you for listening in. I'm His Excellency Dr. Michael Steele, and currently I am in travels, and I look forward to returning to the UK shortly, where we will continue to build on our classes and go forward successfully. I also want to confirm that on Monday, we will have class on Monday. And even if you don't see me personally, I will have arrangements in place for our class. So for all those who are present, class resumes as normal Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturdays. And I want to thank you so very much for being with us this evening. I know a lot of individuals are not here because they did not expect that I would have been here today. So with that being said, thank you so very much for being in class this evening. I love you greatly. Good evening and God bless you. And I will be seeing you in the next class on Monday, God's Spirit Life. Good evening and God bless you, everybody. Bye-bye for now.